Overcoming writer's block might be one of the most frustrating things you have to deal with as a creative person. Composers are no exception to this. Now, I know what it feels like to feel uninspired and to not have any good ideas, but being able to push past that creative rut might be one of the most important skills that you can acquire as a composer. So here are 5 short tips that help me at least, and might help you. So here goes. Tip number 1 is to find a way to consistently generate new and fresh ideas. And when I say generate, I do mean generate, not come up with. Remember, we're trying to overcome writer's block, and let's be honest, if you are in a rut of writer's block, you're not going to come up with any ideas. So being able to generate ideas in sort of a mechanical way can actually be very helpful. Now, the whole point of this tip is to give you a bunch of ideas that you can either just straight up use, or you can react to them and tweak them, use them as parts of melodies or as themes, anything, really. It's just to get your creative juices flowing and to get you out of that rut. This is not a substitute for coming up with your own ideas, it's just a tool to get you out of that creative rut. Now, there are several ways that you can generate ideas. One that I particularly like is actually using one of these D12s. That's a 12-sided dice, each number corresponding to one of the 12 chromatic pitches. I actually used some dice to generate the idea for one of my pieces for clarinet. So what I did there was I tossed 5 D12s and they corresponded to the first motif, and then that actually got me out of the rut. I just got ideas from that initial idea and I just kept writing. Of course, there are several other ways that you can generate ideas. You could probably use random number generators or AI. Soon, we'll all lose our jobs to AI, but currently you can probably use them to generate some pretty nifty ideas that you can react to. Tip number 2 is to get a first draft down on paper as fast as you can. Being critical of someone's work is often easier than actually having to do the work yourself. And by getting down a first draft really quickly, you can more easily see the glaring flaws in the piece, and you can more easily see what's missing in the piece. And by pushing yourself to getting that first draft done real quickly, you might just push past that writer's block altogether. Tip number 3 is to practice your craft. And by craft, I mean counterpoint, harmony, form, instrumentation, orchestration, all these things that you need to know. There are several benefits to this. First of all, you get to spend the time that you're just wasting by being productive instead. And the second reason is you might stumble upon a technique or something that will reinvigorate you and re-inspire you to keep composing. So you might get out of that initial writer's block, and you will learn something useful whilst doing it. Tip number 4 is listen and play. By that, I mean you should listen to and explore music by going to concerts and listening to recordings. Try to explore genres that you don't usually listen to. You never know what hidden gems you'll find or where you'll find them. Seriously, broaden your horizons a bit. You'll thank me later. The second part of this tip is actually to remind you to keep practicing your instrument. I would suggest practicing every day and aiming for at least a semi-professional level, if not even higher. I don't think it's a coincidence that most of the great composers were also great performers in their own right, not only of their own music, but of other people's music as well. Tip number 5, make a habit of composing even when uninspired. This tip has 2 parts to it. The first is to make a habit out of something, and the only way to do that is to do it regularly. I would suggest composing each and every single day, and there's really no getting around that. You have to do it regularly to make it a habit. The second one is a bit more tricky because doing creative work while uninspired can sometimes kill the enjoyment of what you're doing, but hopefully by using one of the previous tips, you can re-inspire yourself when you sit down to compose every day, and trust me, you will get better at it as you try. Thanks for watching and making it all the way to the end. I really appreciate that, seriously. Leave a like if you liked it. Leave a dislike if you disliked it. Leave a comment if you have some of your own tips, or if you found some of the tips in this video especially useful, or if you found them to be utter trash. You know, all data is useful data. Anyway, bye.